Some families are bound by love, others by wealth. But the Ravencrofts? Their legacy is forged in blood, shadow, and secrets too vile to speak aloud. Welcome to the macabre history of the Ravencroft family. A tale so sinister, it will claw at your soul. Settle in, if you dare, for a story that spans centuries, where every whisper carries a curse, and every truth is a wound that never heals. In the fog-choked autumn of 1743, on the desolate moors of northern England, stood Ravencroft Manor, a looming edifice of blackened stone that seemed to devour the light. Silas Ravencroft, the family's patriarch, was no ordinary man. A scholar of forbidden knowledge, his name was whispered in fear by villagers who swore his shadow moved without him. They weren't wrong. Silas had grown obsessed with the occult, poring over ancient tomes that promised power beyond mortal reach. But power comes at a price, and Silas was willing to pay it. The Ravencrofts were once prosperous wool merchants, but by 1743, their fortune had crumbled under Silas's reckless ventures. Creditors circled like vultures, and his wife, Eleanor, pleaded for reason. Silas ignored her, driven by a hunger no coin could sate. One moonless night, in the manor cellar, he performed a ritual from a book bound in human skin. The air grew thick, the candles bled wax like tears, and a voice, inhuman, guttural, offered Silas salvation. In exchange for his family's bloodline, an entity promised wealth and dominion. Silas agreed, sealing the pact with a cut across his palm. The next morning, a mysterious benefactor restored the family's wealth. But the manor grew colder, and Eleanor swore she heard footsteps in empty halls. The first sign of the curse came swiftly. Silas's eldest son, Thomas, vanished into the moors, leaving only a scream that echoed for miles. Villagers whispered of a figure cloaked in ravens, watching from the hills. Eleanor, consumed by grief, began painting cryptic symbols on the manor's walls, muttering of eyes in the dark. Silas dismissed her as mad, but her warnings proved true. One by one, the Ravencroft children fell to accidents, illnesses, thumbnails, // images, app, Good GL/WZ5 QHAQP 4QF6 Scale 7R6, or worse, each death marked by the call of ravens outside the manor. By 1750, Silas was alone, his wealth meaningless. His mind fraying as shadows whispered his name. The villagers burned Silas at the stake, believing him a warlock. But as flames consumed him, he laughed, his voice mingling with an unnatural howl. The manor stood abandoned, yet lights flickered in its windows at night. The Ravencroft name became a curse, and the moors grew silent, save for the ravens. Was Silas truly gone, or had his pact bound the family to something eternal? The answer lies in the generations that followed, each marked by tragedy and terror. By 1801, the Ravencrofts had scattered, but the curse clung like damp rot. Silas's nephew, Gideon Ravencroft, returned to Manor, determined to reclaim the family's legacy. A pragmatic man, Gideon scoffed at tales of pacts and specters. He restored the manor, married a local heiress, Margaret, and filled its halls with laughter. But the shadows remembered. Margaret's diaries, discovered decades later, spoke of dreams where a man with Silas's face beckoned her to the cellar. She described a coldness that seeped into her bones, and ravens that watched her every move. Gideon's ambition led him to unearth Silas's occult library, hidden behind a false wall. Among the books was a tome Silas used, a relic that seemed to pulse with malice. Gideon, curious, read aloud a single passage. That night, Margaret sleepwalked the moors, where villagers found her clawing at the earth, screaming of wings in the dark. She bore Gideon 3 children, but each was born frail, their eyes unnaturally dark. The eldest, Beatrice, spoke to unseen figures, claiming they taught her secrets. By 1810, Beatrice vanished, leaving only a bloodied shawl and a circle of raven feathers. The manor became a prison. Gideon boarded up the cellar, but the walls groaned with whispers. Margaret, driven to hysteria, carved symbols into her skin, symbols matching those Eleanor had painted. Gideon burned the occult books, but the curse tightened its grip. His remaining children died in their sleep, their faces frozen in terror. Margaret hanged herself in the attic, her final diary entry reading, The debt is never paid. Gideon fled, but the moors seemed to swallow him. The manor stood empty again, its windows like eyes watching the world. By the 1850s, a distant cousin, Eliza Ravencroft, inherited the estate. A skeptic and scientist, she aimed to dispel the family's dark reputation. But Eliza's experiments in the manor uncovered strange phenomena. Clocks running backward, mirrors reflecting faces not her own. Her journals detailed a presence that grew stronger with each night, urging her to renew the pact. Eliza resisted, but her assistants vanished and ravens amassed outside. One night, a fire consumed the manor's west wing, and Eliza was found muttering in the cellar, clutching Silas's tome. She disappeared soon after, leaving only a warning: do not trust the blood. The 20th century brought new Ravencrofts, each drawn to the manor like moths to a flame. In 1923, Victor Ravencroft, a filmmaker, turned the estate into a studio, believing its grim history would inspire art. His crew reported equipment malfunctions and sightings of a figure in black. Victor's film, The Raven's Debt, was never completed. Cast and crew vanished mid-production, leaving reels of footage showing only static and faint, anguished screams. Victor was found in the cellar, his eyes gouged out, muttering about the price. The manor was sealed, but the curse endured. In 1975, Cassandra Ravencroft, a paranormal researcher, reopened the manor, convinced she could break the curse. Armed with cameras and EMF meters, she documented anomalies: temperature drops, voices chanting in Latin, and shadows that moved against the light. Cassandra's team dwindled as members fled or succumbed to inexplicable accidents. Her final recording captured her in the cellar, reciting words from Silas's tome before screaming, "It sees me." Her body was never found, but her camera showed a fleeting image: a figure cloaked in ravens, its eyes burning like coals. By 2005, the manor was a ruin, avoided by all but thrill seekers. Yet the Ravencroft name persisted. Emily Ravencroft, a journalist and the last known heir, arrived to uncover her family's truth. She found Silas's tome in the rubble, its pages pristine despite centuries. Emily's blog post described nightmares of a man who smelled of ash, urging her to pay the debt. Locals warned her to leave, but she pressed on, uncovering letters from past Ravencrofts, each begging forgiveness for sins they couldn't name. One night, Emily live-streamed from the cellar, her face pale as she read from the tome. The feed cut to black, replaced by a single frame, a raven staring into the camera. Emily's disappearance sparked global fascination. Urban explorers flocked to the manor, sharing tales of ravens that spoke in human voices and walls that bled. In 2020, a leaked document from an anonymous source claimed the Ravencroft curse was no myth but a contract, an entity bound to the family's blood, feeding on their despair. The document hinted at a ritual to end the curse, but its final pages were missing. The manor remains, its silhouette a scar on the moors, drawing those foolish enough to seek its secrets. What is the Ravencroft curse? Some say it's a demon, others a manifestation of guilt. The entity Silas summoned in 1743 thrives on the family's blood, growing stronger with each generation's suffering. Every Ravencroft who entered the manor felt its pull, a compulsion to repeat Silas's ritual, to offer another soul to the debt. The tome, indestructible, reappears to each heir, its words a siren call. But why? What did Silas promise? And what does the entity seek? In 2025, a new figure emerged, an archaeologist claiming to be a Ravencroft descendant, seeking the manor's ruins for answers. Their findings, shared on obscure forums, describe a hidden chamber beneath the cellar, its walls etched with symbols that glow in the dark. They found fragments of Silas's journals, revealing his pact was not for wealth but for immortality, a twisted bargain that tethered his bloodline to an entity older than time. The archaeologists vanished days later, their last post a cryptic plea: don't read the book. The Ravencroft story is a warning. The manor stands, a monument to human greed, and the prices we pay for power. The ravens still circle, their cries a reminder that some debts can never be settled. What became of the tome? Does it wait for another Ravencroft to claim it? Perhaps it's closer than you think. The next time you hear a raven's call, listen closely. might be calling your name. Thank you for joining this dark journey. If you dare to explore more, subscribe and share your thoughts below. But beware, some stories follow you home.